Said Benrahma is a hammer. That's difficult to say without saying hammer, isn't it? But here he is. He's finally a West Ham United player. And I say finally, I mean finally at the last minute. But what a good feeling it is to get this over the line with. There's a few things to get through in this video. We've got the player, the deal, and then the day, the week, the way this deal has been done, how long it's taken. But we'll leave that bit for the end because that's the negative bit. Because there is a negative aspect to this, I'm afraid. It's just my honest opinion. But I'm going to leave that and let's have a little bit of feel-good moment at the start of this, because what a talent we have just signed. He's coming on loan for the season. £5 million we're giving Brentford to have him for this season. But at the end of it, in May, June, July, whatever, whenever the window opens next year, we will sign him for £25 million. And there he is, Said Benrahma, a West Ham United player for this season and onwards. What a talent we are getting, though. In my opinion, I think he's the best player in the Championship last season. I've said that consistently throughout the summer. I don't necessarily think he's the perfect fit for West Ham, but as time's gone on this week and we've been linked to him more and more, I've really hoped we were going to pull this off. And I've started to sort of believe that originally I thought, I'm not sure Moyes can work with this guy. I'm not sure he's a David Moyes type player. The more I've thought about it, the more I think actually David Moyes can make this work. I think what put me off originally was the fact that Moyes preferred King, or we were believed that Moyes would prefer Joshua King. But listen, Brentford are a very offensively pressing team. He's a huge part of that. So if you can translate that into tracking back, it's two different things. Then I think we've got a David Moyes type player in our hands here. But let's forget about what we might see this season. Let's focus on what we've just signed today. And that is one of the most skillful players in the Championship. You get skillful players, then you get skillful players, don't you? Yarmolenko, a skillful player. Lanzini's a skillful player. Jack Wilshere was a skillful player. But this guy does tricks. That's a different type of skill. Do you know what I mean? We're not really seeing it since Dimitri Payet. It's someone that can do the step over. This guy's done rainbow flicks during a game of football before. I've not seen that in England since JJ Okocha. I cannot wait to see this guy at the London Stadium. This is someone that when you turn up to a game, you'll be hoping he's in the starting 11. And when he is, you know when he gets the ball, you're going to be entertained. And it's not just the tricks, though. He's not just someone that... You know, you get the players over the years, don't you, that can do the tricks and stuff, but they don't necessarily do anything at the end of it. There's no goals, there's no assists, it's just pure entertainment. Well, this guy does it all. Nearly 50 goals and assists over the last 2 years for Brentford. Outstanding record, fully deserves his move to the Premier League, and we've given him that opportunity now. And I'm quite confident he's going to step up. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can give us at West Ham. And I expect more goals. I expect assists from him as well. I'm just really happy, actually. One thing I will say, though, this doesn't necessarily... I am purely talking... In this video, I'm purely talking about Said Benrahma and the Said Benrahma deal. That is it. I'm not going to discuss about the overall window. I'm going to leave that for another day. That's why I feel positive. If someone's saying, hang on a minute, we need a centre midfielder, I might agree with you. I'm going to cover that later. I just want to... There's not been too many sort of feel-good moments in the transfer window for West Ham this summer, and I'm going to enjoy this one, if you don't mind, because I think we've signed an exciting talent and someone who I just can't wait to see it play for West Ham, to be honest with you. Now, the deal itself, I mean, this changed throughout the day, didn't it? It looked like we were going to sign him. Yesterday, we believed he was signing for £25 million, permanent transfer, possible £5 million of add-ons in future. And then it changed. It changed today, midday or whatever, roughly. We got told, he's failed his medical. Failing the medical is a very grey area, isn't it? It's up to the club to determine if a player's failed at that. It's not like you go for your theory test for your driving where everybody has it's a percentage. You pass or you fail. It's as simple as that. The club decides if you pass or fail, so to speak. An issue arose, but it's believed it was in his blood test results. I don't know, that's the rumours. Something's come up anyway, which has obviously put West Ham off a little bit and meant that we've gone and tried to change the game on the last day, which has obviously annoyed Brentford, but we wanted to loan him and there's an obligation to buy. There's a lot of talk, though, that this obligation, there's a stipulation alongside it that suggests that if what we have discovered during his medical then becomes a long-term, more serious problem, that we do not have to follow through with the obligation next summer. But it's believed that won't be the case. I think West Ham apparently were trying to change it to an option to buy. They were trying to get rid of the obligation part, which obviously Brentford, they've been mugged off already, haven't they? They're still getting the same amount of money, but they're just going to have to wait till next year to get 25 million. However, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I'm not defending David Sullivan here because I'll get onto that in a second. But Brentford were never getting the 25 million up front. Okay, we weren't going to just send them 25 million today. They would have probably got the 5 million today as they're getting for the loan fee, and they would have probably got 5 million next year, 5 million the year after they're on. So the cash flow for Brentford probably remains the same. The cash flow for West Ham's probably not too different either. So in terms of the money and stuff, it won't be worlds apart from the permanent transfer to loan thing. However, what I will say is the way that David Sullivan has handled this, to some extent, has been a bit of a disgrace, actually. I will put in a little caveat here and say that, of course, if something comes up in the medical, which concerns the club, then you've every right to try and pull out of that deal or whatever. But if the players, I get that, but we've left this to the last day of the transfer window. If you'd pursued Benrahma in July, in August, in September, the transfer window opened on the 27th of July. It's nearly the 27th of October. It's 2.5 months you've had to get to play in. You've left it to the last day. So when someone shows up in a medical, I don't have much sympathy for David Sullivan. I don't have much sympathy for West Ham United that on the last day of the transfer window they've discovered there's an issue with their top signing for the summer. It's your own fault for leaving it this late, and I'm just glad they've got this deal done, because it's, well, at least we've got someone extremely talented at the football club, someone that can. This is what I said about Marko Navic. I've probably attributed this to Sebastian Haller as well, and probably Jared Bowen, but I didn't attribute it to Ajeti. I didn't attribute this to Pablo Fornals, although he's since gone on to suggest otherwise. But Benrahma can win you points. He can be the difference between 1 point and 3 points in a match, and those points will repay his outlay almost immediately. Marko Navic is probably the last player that I would suggest that we have bought that I would say that about. You could make a case for players like Chicharito and that, and obviously Michail Antonio, but he was signed prior to Marco. Said Benrahma, I think, is one of those players that will win you games single-handedly, whether it's scoring goals or setting them up. And this is what I like about him most, though. He doesn't need to create outside the box. He can create from deep. He can create from 30 yards out from the box or something like that. And I sometimes think that's what we've been missing. Not the last two games. We've saw Fornals and Bowen creating and playing adventurous football and stuff. But I think maybe in the past at West Ham we have missed someone that can unlock a defence. We've done all right passing the ball about to get into the final third. But it's just someone having that little bit of magic to put the striker through or put in a decent ball or something. I think we've sometimes been missing that. And I think, like I said, until the last two games, obviously. But this guy's got it. And I'm really excited to see him at West Ham, actually. But going back to West Ham, the way we've handled this, I'd be surprised if Brentford ever want to deal with us again while David Sullivan is the owner at West Ham. If our Brentford fans watching this and a bit pissed off, we completely understand. We get it. We've been putting up with this for a long time, and much longer than yourselves. And you can put Brentford under Frankfurt, which is a few teams down from Leicester City. That clubs that just won't want to deal with West Ham anymore, the way we go about business and stuff. It's not good, really. I'm glad there is an obligation, by the way. Despite Sullivan trying to get out of it by the sounds of it, I'm glad it's an obligation, because the last thing you want is him to come in, and he does really well, and then next summer we've got an option to buy for 25 million. You say, oh yeah, we'll have that 25 million. Then for a bigger club like Arsenal, that to approach Brentford and say, well, we'll give you 30 million. And then Benrahma has to pick between West Ham and Arsenal, and all of a sudden you've got a bit of pressure. We had that worry with Lanzini when we were going to sign him. Okay, we got it done, but it was a little bit of a worry for a temporary period of time. So this obligation removes that, and if he does well this summer, this season, so we're safe in the comfort that it's a 5-year deal he's away to sign at the end of it. Obviously, if he doesn't do too well, then we're away to spend 25 million on someone we're not too keen on. So it's a bit of a soul check type deal, but fingers crossed it works out. But I'm quite confident. Well, like I said, the more I've thought about it, the more I think he will. I think he will suit David Moyes. He does work hard enough, if that makes sense. I don't think he's as hard working as Pablo Fornals, but I don't think Jared Bowen is neither. However, Bowen does work hard enough. I think I've certainly seen games, though. Like I said, I've got my reservations over Benrahma. I've aired them prior in the week where I have seen games where he does look a bit lazy or disinterested, but you have to hope that Moyes will be able to get that out of him. I just hope that David Moyes has approved this signing. that is another worry of mine. It still is a worry of mine that Moyes would have still preferred Josh King. We don't know yet. We know that Sullivan was the one that preferred Benrahma. I just hope that David Moyes is alright. He wanted Benrahma too. He might have just preferred Josh King. The bad news is though that he's obviously not signed in time, so he will not be playing on Sunday against Tottenham. He won't be available for this match. But we're doing the Tottenham preview tomorrow morning, by the way, because it was going to be tonight. We've kept it back because of all this stuff that was going on, waiting to see what happened with Benrahma. But I'm going to do a transfer window review in general later on, maybe on Monday or something. Let's focus on the Spurs game after tonight. But to wrap it up, I think I think we've signed a really, really good player, a fantastic player. I think the deal in the end suits West Ham, although I think the way we've handled it has been appalling, and I'm not surprised really. But as a West Ham fan, I was delighted that we got Benrahma. But as a human being, remove my West Hamness. If I was Brentford, I would have told David Sullivan where to go, to be honest with you. By the sounds of it, they were fuming with us. They did not want Benrahma to join. Benrahma pushed for this. That's another thing that we need to take in consideration, that when the deal started to change, Benrahma was a big part of Brentford reluctantly accepting the loan deal because he wanted to come to West Ham, and I like to see that attitude. It is swings and roundabouts, because if a big club comes calling for him in future, he's going to push to leave West Ham, but that's okay. That is football. I accept that. I've never been one of these people that expects 100% loyalty from our players, because as you swim with sharks, you're going to get bitten. But to round it off, all I'm going to say is David Sullivan hasn't pulled off a great deal today. I think David Sullivan's got away with it. And obviously it's concerning. It's nothing new, is it? It's just the normal now. But listen, we've got a fantastic player, Said Benrahma. I can't wait to see him playing in claret and blue for us this season, and I think he'll be a success as well. Myself and Gonz will be back tomorrow with a preview for the Spurs game tomorrow morning at some time. I don't know when. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to you around here, and welcome to West Ham United, Said Benrahma. You got here eventually.